We have a really nice, fun, engaging presentation today. So I'm going to introduce Caroline Lewis, who is a board member at The Great, former vice president. She is the convener of the Women of Worth weekend and the concept behind our Great Women Zoom conversations, what we're on here today, and a very special friend as well. So what I'm going to be doing today, first we'll just hear a little bit about Caroline. I know a lot of you know her, but it's always nice to learn a little bit more and really connect with each other. She's going to talk about some useful tips about how we can help each other and ourselves during this crazy time that we're living in. And then what we're going to do is we're going to open up for discussion. So there's actually going to be quite a lot of time set out today for discussion, and that's what this connection is about today. So we will start by just finding out. So Caroline, welcome. So I think that everyone loves to hear just a little bit about yourself. So where are you from and how did you get yourself to Sydney?
Well, I came out here at 21 on holiday actually, and I met David. And then I did go back to London, and I said, if you want me, you should come and get me. So he did. That was pretty much 36 years ago. So I got married at 22. And we've, 35 years on. It's our anniversary this year. And couldn't be happier.
That's beautiful. So when you came to Sydney, did you immediately find a shul when you came?
So I kind of was always in walking distance of my shul when I was growing up. We had a very traditional upbringing, and so I'd be sent to the children's service on a Saturday morning. Sometimes I'd just walk around the block for 2 hours, just because I hated it so much. But we were always in walking distance, and you know, I was very connected with my community there. When I arrived here, I was appalled at the fact that I was going to have to get on public transport or drive into my shul, because David's family founded this shul, and he's 5th generation Australian, and I had to stick with what was going on here, and I wasn't too happy. It wasn't actually until my eldest daughter was bat mitzvahed that I had such a positive experience that I thought, well, there's work to be done here, and I joined the board probably in 2004.
Yeah.
So I've been on the board since then, and intermittently, of course, I've become the vice president and then stepped down from that. But I feel that it's really important for people to have a sense of belonging, and I know that people can get it from playing bridge or belonging to a bowls club or a darts club or going to the pub. But for me, over the years, it has been going to shul. And I have to say, I've met and made really my closest friends there. So I just feel like I'd like to pass on the experience to other people, to make their experience coming to shul as something that's memorable, and that they feel a sense of belonging that we can create too.
I think you have. I think you've done a great job with it. So many warm welcomes that you give every week. So I think everyone likes that. And bringing women together, just amazing. Yeah. Now, flipping over to your career. So you're kind of doing something different than when you started. Tell us about your career path.
So I actually studied exhibition design and window display in London. And then I got on a plane to Sydney, and I didn't really have any sort of direction or focus. I didn't have any kind of feeling of support in that direction. So I didn't have any kind of role modeling. So it was more like, just get on a plane. My mum actually suggested, why don't you go to Australia? We've got cousins there. So like Linny is my cousin. She's married to my cousin. So I do have one set of family, which they've become closer to me over the years. And I don't know, I just got on a plane and I ended up working in an exhibition company, and then I was picked up by a guy who was setting up a design agency. And then by the time I was 25, I went from being an apprentice, schlepping around after him for 15 hours a day, to being a director of a design agency. So for me, it was lots of hard work. I really didn't have anything else to go on. It was just really being nice to people, them seeing in me what they wanted, and me being able to come up with the goods to solve problems. So I don't know if I can say it, but I used to call myself a fireman and a prostitute because I used to like everyone for the best prices and put out fires all day long. Like that's what that I was sorry to offend anybody, but I was like, it was my job. I had to make things happen. I had deadlines, I had budgets, and I had people who were far too busy doing what they're doing. They just left it all to me, like in big amounts. So I'd be juggling 50 projects at once.
Well,
so
that's because that's very different than what you're doing now. And very different. Now, I don't know if everyone knows what you're doing now. So maybe, how did you get to it?
So I went to live in London for a couple of years, 2009 to 2011. And then I came back and I had burnt out. I couldn't do any more than what I was doing. And I just didn't see the joy in the industry anymore. And, you know, like I was in charge of creating that embossed butterfly that goes on the clinic's toilet paper. That was my job. So, you know, when you've done stuff like that, you kind of move on and think, well, where are your priorities? And I decided to go and study counselling. I studied counselling, and while I was doing that, I actually had my daughters were going through their own issues, and I developed something called the Self Program for 13 to 15-year-old girls. And it was just something that because I'm very creative and I need to produce, I'm constantly producing, I created this program and I started running it. And then while I was looking for something to create my website, I found an online coaching program that specifically coached teenage girls. I went through that process, and then as time went on, I thought, well, why am I limiting myself? There are so many boys that need help as well. And then it was kind of, well, there's so many boys and girls and not just teens, I might as well branch into young adults as well. So I'm a life coach for teenagers and young adults. That's what I do.
That is amazing. Truly amazing. Well, I can tell you my daughter, my 12-year-old, has gone to a few of your camps and loves them, absolutely loves them. So very well done. So now you're obviously still coaching online now. You've probably taken your face-to-face online business. So how are you finding sort of the teens and the young adults sort of during this crazy time we're living in?
Yeah, well, I mean, everyone's got their own individual stresses. I think obviously we're dealing with parents who are trying to run a business or work from home, plus teach their children and manage whatever questions come up for them. So they're juggling a lot. So the parents are pretty stressed, and I am coaching parents as well. So, and the teenagers, like the ones that I'm coaching, say if they're HSC, they are really stressing, but they're also grieving because there's loss around the fact that they won't be able to go to their formal, potentially. They won't be able to graduate en masse with their cohort. They won't be able to, you know, run around and date and do all the stuff that they're supposed to be doing. And of course, they've only had sort of 16, 18 years of life. So this is a big percentage of their life that they're experiencing right now. And of course, you know, the younger kids, I have to say, there's a lot less bullying going on. So you've got to see the shiny side of all of this. The stuff that I was coaching kids on about surviving and resilience and, you know, the bullying thing, is they're actually quite happy. There's a lot of socially, you know, people who are more introverted, socially introverted or awkward, who are really happy to be staying home. So we're just working on other stuff, you know, just how they're going to re-enter that force, going back to school, because they will be all back there. So
yeah. And but you've got other people in your life as well who've been affected, so it's not just the teens.
No.
All ages. Hey,
so I have two daughters, and well, Charlotte lives in Boston with her husband Robbie, and Robbie and her were at school together, so his family are all here as well. And they are thankfully working and still love each other enough to stay in the apartment together solidly. But they're scared for us. They're scared for everybody because of what they're experiencing, because Boston is such a hot spot. That's where they are. So they're worrying on behalf of the rest of the world as to what we should be doing, because they're struggling so much with what's going on around them. But they're working from home. My other daughter, Juliet, she opted to go and start a new life over in Canada. So she said literally a week before everything locked down. Thankfully, she has been holed up in Moisha House, of all places. So she's had Shabbos dinner, and she had Pesach, she had Seder nights, and they do cooking together and all sorts of nice Jewish stuff, which I can't be happier. And she's got 3 friends there that have become sort of lifelong friends. So that's great. And she starts work on Tuesday. She got an amazing job, thank God. But it doesn't go without the stress. We've all got all these people distantly, and of course I've got my mum who is really taking up quite amount of time for me, because I need to be on the phone to her every day for 1 or 2 hours. I need to be there at 7 p.m. on a regular time to create a routine for her, to give her something to look forward to. And I'm constantly trying to come up with new and exciting and interesting ideas to help her live a more, I don't know, satisfying life at the moment. She's 95. It's a struggle.
I'm sure a lot of people on the call can relate, whether it's parents or siblings or, trying to help people who can't necessarily help themselves.
Yeah.
So with that, so Caroline has come up with a top 10 list. We all love a top 10 list. So if you have a pen and paper, these are some really, really great ideas. So we're going to share some ideas on what everyone on this call can do to help yourself and others stay sane during this crisis.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, humor and laughter are really important. I think I have seen so many amazing videos, heartwarming videos and memes and things, so funny. But I think we do also have to look at the serious side of how this is impacting other people. And I really feel that, well, first of all, I think creating a routine. I'm working from home. I have to say, I've got no cleaner, which I'm actually really enjoying. I'm reclaiming my home, and I make a point of cleaning out 2 cupboards every morning. So for me, that sort of routine, I think it's really important to get up. I do exercise pretty much every day. I think exercise is really good for endorphins and, just that feel good. The weather is amazing right now, so it's a great time to be getting out and about. And of course, we're allowed to walk with, 2 people. So it's nice, at least, that we're lucky that we can engage with other people almost face to face. So also having an exercise regime. I mean, I'm on Skype with my mum. I'm on messing with my. I don't know if you've seen her on Facebook. She has almost like a following, but I videoed her showing me all of the different exercises that she does, because she, makes sure that her body is moving and she gets all her circulation happening. And, as much as we're able to go out, and I've got like my Pilates class, they sent the equipment to our houses so that we can actually do Pilates in our homes and go on Zoom and do classes. But up to 95 years old, I still got to get people moving and keeping their body and their minds active. I think eating properly, eating well and eating properly, it's very easy when you're at home all day to just like literally graze by the fridge. It's just like you lose sense of time, and you think, oh, it seems like an hour or 2 since I ate, and there's some chocolate or a biscuit or I baked a cake. So you end up like standing by the fridge the whole time grazing. So I've kind of really tried to discipline myself in terms of having breakfast, lunch and dinner, and morning tea and afternoon tea. It's, obviously I don't want to tell you how to suck eggs. But I know also in terms of like cooking and baking, I know Charlotte has done some amazing sourdough olive bread. She's really experimenting with different cakes. And we saw from Monday Morning Cooking Club yesterday, that was an amazing talk, that, they're really pushing the boundaries of what you can try and cook and bake at home. So I sort of suggest, if you want to eat well, just like make really good food. I think about identifying your network. I'm very blessed to have lots and lots of people in my life, sometimes too many people, but it's been really amazing to get on a house party at 8:30 on a Monday morning with my school friend in London, and my school friend in New York. And the three of us are just like rolling on the floor laughing. And, you know, it's crazy. We didn't see each other for 25 years, but suddenly these new friendships have come up as well. But, you know, there's also the people closer to home who have been able to be a network for me to stay sane, and for my mum in London to be able to drop food over the gate for her, and for me to know that my friends are actually picking up the phone. So I'm kind of trying to encourage our generation, my generation, to pick up the phone to my mum or your mum or someone else's mum, so that it's not just linear, the way we're taking care of each other, but it's also more broad, so that it's more the we and not just the I. That's really what I wanted. And also I got my mum on House Party, I got her on Zoom, she's on, you know, all sorts of things. I'm trying to get her to play bridge online. Oh yeah. Anyway, I've also sort of done care parcel. So anyone who is far away, it's really nice to, I've had hair dye dropped to my mother, and mandala colouring in books and pens, and she shows me every night, you know, the different pen colouring in that she's done today, which really stimulates her mind and keeps her sort of dexterous as well. Things like seedlings. I got my friend to get terracotta pots and some seedlings and drop them over to mum, so she can actually put them on her balcony and watch something grow and sort of tend to something, so she's got something to look at every day and see a difference and a change. And also, I don't know, I had a new toaster delivered to her or something, like just an Amazon, I've got a hairdryer going there tomorrow for just so she can do her hair and feel better about herself. Things like book clubs, you know, I know that we have like a shul book club, and it can be just sort of minimized to your own group of friends, or you have a Netflix party or something that brings you together that you can sort of watch or read and critique. So I'm just reading The Street Sweeper at the moment, and every few days I check in with my mum, and you know, we talk about a chapter, we watched, I think, Charlotte and I were watching Love at First Sight. No, not Love at First Sight. What was that one? Was it Love at First Sight? Oh, whatever it was, that terrible program. I mean, they're so terrible, but you're just like, well, it's watching a train wreck. You've got to watch it together. Capturing life stories. I mean, we all have amazing stories, and this is an opportunity where we don't just have bites of each other's life. We can actually sit down on the screen and actually have a conversation and have a whole discussion about, so where did you come from? What happened? Like, these opportunities are amazing. But also, I'm doing something called Storyworth with my mum, actually. And it's a great thing to do, because I get to ask her a question a week for 52 weeks. And it's not just a chronology of her life. It's more like social history, like what was your best birthday, and what was your honeymoon like, and what was your favorite fashion era, and all sorts of questions like that, that you really get an understanding of what was going on in her life. You know, you understand that they used to like draw lines up the back of their legs during the war to look like they had stockings on, and, you know, just social history that you can't imagine, but you are swept into that. And I think thinking of others, of course, it's really nice to get outside of your own head and, you know, not feel sorry for yourself. I know it's a tough time, but I always think that when you think of other people and you're helping other people and you're, you know, doing something for other people, then it kind of takes the focus off yourself and how you might be feeling a little down. So again, one of the things I keep going back to my mum, because she's kind of like a role model for all of this, and she's been my kind of guinea pig. But so my mum normally sends birthday cards to people, every birthday card. That was her excuse to go to the shops and get a stamp. That was like her excursion. Now she's run out of birthday cards, and it's like, I can't send birthday cards to anyone. What am I going to do? Like, people won't remember me. So I said, okay, let's go on Moonpig. And Moonpig, if you want any of these website addresses, they're all like as references, I can give them to you. But so she went on her iPad. She has an iPad. And we went on Moonpig. I got her to download it. And then we went through the whole process of her setting up and preparing a birthday card for her niece. And then she lost it all. thankfully I'd opened my Moonpig, and I'd written the whole message out and done everything for her. And I sent the card for her. So now I've decided, Mum, go get all of your birthdays. She's got them right till October. Give me their addresses. Tell me what you want to write in them, and let's choose a birthday card that you want to go on Moonpig, and then we'll send those birthday cards. I can schedule them. So it's just like that way she feels she's doing something nice for someone else, and someone will remember her. And the other thing was that Charlotte is doing this incredible thing called quarantine chat. And you basically get a number, you register, and then you're given a phone number, and you phone up and speak to some random person who has also put their phone number in, anywhere in the world. So she posts on her Facebook page every time she speaks to someone, and they're fascinating. She's spoken to people in Jamaica, in New York, in San Francisco, in like all different places, all sorts of different backgrounds, and amazing, really interesting stories. And they talk politics, or they talk, what's going on in their life right now and what life's going to be like. And it's very much worth it. So if you feel like you want some company, or you want to chat with someone, register for quarantine chat, because it's incredible. And the other thing I was going to say was journaling this time. Or one of the things I was doing with one of the kids that I'm coaching was to create a time capsule. So like actually capture this time of our life that we're experiencing, so that we can pass it on to the next generation, or the next generation, to actually remind ourselves and the rest of the world what it was like. Because no one's going to believe this. When they look back on it, they'll be like, no, like this is an impossibility. This couldn't have happened, that everyone stayed at home and the streets were empty and the shops were bare of toilet paper. How ridiculous. And so my last point is just to sign up and learn. And this is, again, we've got the benefit of Zoom. We've got the benefit of all of these amazing webinars that I'm signing up to, all sorts of things. But also I've sent through, like, for operas and theatres, and behind the scenes tours and art galleries that you can do tours of. And you can be a part. You can't be there, but you can feel like you're a part of it in some small way. So I think those are my top tips. I'm sure I've probably got more, but I don't want to dominate the conversation. But I really wanted to find out from all of you, and I think this is a good space. Like, it's a safe space. I like to create safe space where people can feel that it's, that they can, really express how they feel, because it's fun and it's funny, but it's also hard, and it's like really tough for some people. So, but I wanted to find out how it is for you guys, how it's been. If you've got any tips of your own that we all can take notes on as well. How are you making sense of this situation? Are you kind of like reading the news or not reading the news? And are you feeling like you want to actually go back out into the world and socialize and reconnect, or are you actually quite enjoying hibernating? So I just wanted to know, like, from you guys, what your feelings were on all of this.